Hey, welcome back to the White Towel. We're here to talk about a project here at the Vancouver Province and Sun that we're quite excited about. The 50th anniversary that the Canucks are celebrating. It gives us an opportunity to talk to guys we haven't talked to in a long time, or quite frankly, get to know guys a lot better, Ed. And we've worked on a lot of different projects. This is an ongoing decade-by-decade project. What do you got coming up?
Well, we're into the 90s now, so the one I'm working on now is Pat Quinn winning the Adams Trophy in 91-92, but you know, that is just broad enough. There's a couple of different entry points, and I spent about 15 minutes on the phone with Arthur Griffiths yesterday, and he told me the story of how they recruited Pat, who was then coach of the Los Angeles Kings. Started off a major category like spitstorm when they signed him, and he sued and all the rest of it, but Griffiths tells this story about, you know, they kind of identify Pat as the guy they're going to go after, and they know he's on an expiring contract with LA, so he goes down to San Diego. And if anybody's ever been to San Diego, the Del Coronado Hotel is a real landmark there. Beautiful old turn-of-the-century, big domed, right on the water. And Griffiths tells this story about meeting Pat, and they're sitting, of course, Pat's got a cigar the size of a canoe he's working on, and telling him, and his dad's there, and his Frank Griffiths, who's the owner of the Canucks at the time, says, Pat asks him, what's your goal for me? And he says, I just want you to make the team respectable again. And when you think of where the Canucks were through most of the 80s, and then what Pat brought to them, I think that was a real telling point. I just love this series because people are so candid, and they're so willing to talk. Like the statute of limitations has been ripped open, so people are willing to talk about these really, pivotal moments in Canucks history. I find it really interesting and rewarding as a writer.
Well, my next assignment is on Pavel Bure. You may have heard of him, and we could do a whole month on Pavel Bure, but the specific assignment
just the drafting of him,
just it's basically supposed to be about his first practice, his first game, his first goal. Of course, you have to touch on things like you said, Ed. Just all, was he draft eligible for starters to be taken outside of the first three rounds? He had to have a bigger body of work, and Mike Penny, to his credit, found that Pavel did have the body of work to be drafted that year in that round. And fast forward, we know all about the negotiations. Pavel pulling $50,000 out of his jeans and coming up with the $250 to keep the Red Army happy. And eventually arriving in Vancouver. His first game was November 5th, 2 days earlier. Everybody says they were there. There were 2,000 people at the Britannia Arena, supposedly, to watch Pavel's first practice. And I talked to Cliff Ronning about it the other day, and he said from the very first drill, when Pavel took the puck from behind the net, within 2 strides he was across the blue line, and we all went, holy, what? And of course, 2 days later, he played his first game, didn't score, had 3 or 4 marvelous breakaways, and then of course his actual first goal on a errant cross-ice own zone pass by Brian Benning, not Jim Benning, and deking the goalie with Gretzky looking on. Of course, he scored twice that night. So I had a chance to talk to Cliff Ronning about it. I had a chance to talk to Jeff Corton about his relationship. Some Gino stuff in there. We're trying to track down Pavel. So a real interesting read coming up in the Province and the Sun this weekend. So there you go. Your latest, and it's a continuing series, like Ed said, decade by decade. It's been cathartic. It's been entertaining, and we hope you enjoy it.